Forget the trash shock alert. Browns the Cincinnati Shedeur Sanders are reportedly pressuring the league to force a Shedeur Sanders trade that had just even hours after the rookie quarterback up on set the record TV. Straight about his practice Wait reps. Until you hear what he did. Did Shedeur's truth bomb ignite a bidding war that could change the AFC forever?
Doing it again. He went through the Make-A-Wish Foundation and went visit a young man in the hospital. I'm just trying to tell y'all, all of those reports that came out during that draft, that Shedeur Sanders is entitlement and he's all by himself. He don't care about his teammates. He don't care about nobody else but him. Listen, there's not too many people who will stop whatever they doing to go see a sick person. That's in real life. You ain't got to be no football player, nor in the NFL. That's real life, and that's real talk. So,
Shedeur Sanders talking yesterday about his playing status, of basically meaning he hasn't played at all. Third-string quarterback in Cleveland this year. Listen to what he said.
If things happen, things turn out where I play, then I'll be out there and I'll be ready to play. So I'm ready to play right now.
They said Shedeur Sanders was selfish, entitled, and only cared about himself during the draft. But what happened next completely silenced every single hater and had ESPN hosts going absolutely ballistic in his defense. While critics were busy tearing him down, Shedeur was quietly doing something that would make grown men cry. And when the footage surfaced, it sent shockwaves through the entire football world. You think you know the real Shedeur Sanders? Think again, because what I'm about to show you will change everything you thought you knew about this young quarterback.
I am a believer in Shedeur. Again, I am not an analyst, so I'm not sitting here telling you that my expertise tells me he's going to be a good player. I'm saying there is not one draft analyst, not one, who said this guy can't play at all.
Yeah,
not one.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
The idea that all of a sudden we've decided he can't play, there's not one who has him rated behind Dillon Gabriel. Not one. Oh. I prepare for the draft. I start studying these guys the week after the college football championship game. I did nothing but look at quarterbacks and all the rest of the guys. There is not one person, go back and find me, one draft analyst who had Dillon Gabriel rated ahead of Shedeur Sanders. So I personally am confounded, and the things that people are saying that Dillon Gabriel does well, processing and all that stuff, are exactly the things people were telling me that Shedeur did well.
Get better in silence. And you have to realize that sometimes you got reporters just sitting around and they'll put a camera in your face. You think they're your friend. You feel good because you're getting some attention because you're not the starting quarterback, and you just say stuff, not realizing that it blows up to stuff like this. And the last time we saw him in the playoff, in the preseason, against guys that are probably pumping gas right now, he didn't look so good. So
look, I've been covering sports for years, and I've seen plenty of athletes do charity work for the cameras. But what Shedeur Sanders just did, this hits different. And I'm about to break down exactly why this moment proves every single draft critic got it completely wrong. You're scrolling through social media, probably expecting another controversy or drama surrounding the Sanders family. Instead, you stumble across footage that stops you dead in your tracks. There's Shedeur Sanders, the guy who supposedly only cares about himself, sitting bedside with a young fan through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. No cameras following him around for a documentary. No press release beforehand. Just a young man who decided to use his platform to brighten someone's darkest day.
They got after the quarterback. They got after Flacco. Look, Flacco is a statue.
You can't move, huh?
He never could.
That ain't never been his forte.
No. About you, I was special teams. I was. That's how I made the team. That's why I started. I cut my teeth on the special teams. But 267 didn't go in as a special.
But here's where it gets really interesting, and why this story is about so much more than just a feel-good moment. Remember all those reports during the draft? The whispers that Shedeur was entitled selfish, that he didn't care about his teammates or anybody else but himself? Bernard Watts, who's been watching this situation unfold, put it perfectly when he said, "Listen, there's not too many people who will stop whatever they doing to go see a sick person." That's in real life. You ain't gotta be no football player, nor in the NFL. That's real life, and that's real talk. Think about that for a second. When was the last time you dropped everything in your schedule to visit someone in the hospital? And I'm not talking about family or close friends. I'm talking about a complete stranger who just wanted to meet you. That's exactly what Shedeur did. And it's exactly the opposite of what all those draft experts were telling us about his character. The timing of this is absolutely incredible too. While Dillon Gabriel was getting picked up by teams and Shedeur was sliding in the draft, supposedly because of character concerns, here he was proving every single scout wrong with actions, not words. And that's what makes this whole situation so perfectly ironic. The NFL was worried about his character while he was out there demonstrating the exact kind of character you want, representing your franchise. But wait, it gets even better. Because while this heartwarming moment was happening, something else was brewing in the media that would completely vindicate everything Shedeur supporters have been saying all along. Enter Mike Greenberg from ESPN's Get Up. And let me tell you, this man came with receipts. He didn't just defend Shedeur, he absolutely obliterated the entire narrative that led to him sliding in the draft. And the way he did it? Pure demolition. Greenberg started by making it crystal clear that he's not even an analyst, so this wasn't some biased professional opinion. This was someone who took the time to actually study the tape. Someone who spent weeks after the college football championship game doing nothing but watching quarterbacks. And what did he find? Something that should embarrass every single NFL front office that passed on Shedeur. There is not one draft analyst, not one who said, "This guy can't play at all." Not one, Greenberg stated with the conviction of someone who'd done his homework. But he wasn't done there. He dropped an even bigger bomb. There's not one who had him rated behind Dillon Gabriel. Not one. Let that sink in for a moment. Every single draft analyst, people whose entire job is to evaluate college talent, had Shedeur ranked ahead of Dillon Gabriel. Yet somehow, Gabriel got picked up while Shedeur is still waiting for his shot. How does that even make sense? Greenberg continued tearing apart this narrative. I prepare for the draft. I start studying these guys the week after the college football championship game. I did nothing but look at quarterbacks and all the rest of the guys. There is not one person, go back and find me, one draft analyst who had Dillon Gabriel rated ahead of Shedeur Sanders. The man literally challenged the entire sports media world to prove him wrong. And guess what? Nobody could, because he was absolutely right. The draft boards, the expert analysis, the tape study. Everything pointed to Shedeur being the superior prospect. So what happened? Why did teams pass on him? This is where the story gets really juicy, because we're starting to see the real reason behind Shedeur's draft slide. And it has nothing to do with his ability to play football. Greenberg touched on this when he mentioned that all the things people praise Dillon Gabriel for, processing, decision-making, leadership, are exactly the same qualities that analysts were highlighting in Shedeur's game. So if the talent was there, if the analysis supported him, if the character we're seeing now was always there, what was really going on behind closed doors? Was this about the Sanders name? Was this about Coach Prime's influence? Was this about NFL teams being intimidated by a quarterback who wouldn't just fall in line and be grateful for whatever scraps they threw his way? The more you dig into this situation, the more you realize that Shedeur Sanders might be the victim of the biggest character assassination in recent draft history. And the beautiful irony? While teams were worried about his character, he was out there visiting sick kids in hospitals without any fanfare or publicity. Bernard Watts nailed it when he said, "Whether you like Shedeur or whether you don't like Coach Prime or the Sanders at all, you can't knock that right there." And he's absolutely right. You can question draft strategy, you can debate arm strength or pocket presence, but you cannot question the heart of someone who takes time out of their schedule to make a dying child's day brighter. But here's what really gets me fired up about this whole situation. The narrative around Shedeur has been so twisted, so manipulated, that people actually believed he was some selfish prima donna. Meanwhile, he's been quietly doing things like this Make-A-Wish visit, supporting his teammates at Colorado, and carrying himself with a professionalism that would make veteran quarterbacks jealous. And now we're starting to see the truth come out. Not just from Greenberg's passionate defense, but from the actions Shedeur continues to take. Every hospital visit, every community outreach, every moment where he chooses to use his platform for good, it's all evidence that the pre-draft character concerns were complete nonsense. You want to know what real character looks like? It's not the guy who says all the right things in interviews or poses for photos at charity events. Real character is what you do when nobody's watching, when there's no benefit to you personally, when you could easily make an excuse and stay home. Real character is a young quarterback visiting a sick child because it's the right thing to do. But let's talk about what this means for Shedeur's future, because this story is far from over. Bernard Watts made a prediction that's looking more and more prophetic every day. When Shedeur hit that field, he going to have a whole stadium around him applauding him. He gonna have the whole community applauding him because of stuff like that. Think about the quarterback room Shedeur is going to walk into when he finally gets his shot. His teammates aren't going to see some entitled college kid who thinks the world owes him something. They're going to see a young man who visits sick children in his free time, who handles criticism with grace, who's been doubted and overlooked despite having all the talent in the world. That's the kind of leader you want under center. That's the kind of person you want representing your franchise. And that's exactly what NFL teams missed out on when they let character concerns that were apparently completely fabricated, scare them away from a generational talent. The Cleveland Browns, wherever Shedeur ends up, they're not just getting a quarterback. They're getting someone who understands that being a professional athlete is about more than just what happens between the lines. They're getting someone who's already proven he can handle adversity, criticism, and setbacks while still maintaining the character to give back to others. And here's the kicker. While other quarterbacks are still trying to prove they belong in the NFL, Shedeur is already proving he belongs in the community. He's already showing the kind of leadership and character that franchises spend years trying to develop in their players. Greenberg's defense of Shedeur wasn't just about football talent, though he made it clear that every analyst recognized that talent. It was about calling out a system that allowed narrative to override evidence, that let whispers and rumors derail what should have been a straightforward evaluation process. So I personally am confounded, Greenberg said, and honestly, we all should be. When you have unanimous analytical support, when you have the college tape, when you have the character demonstrations like this hospital visit, how does a quarterback with Shedeur's profile end up undrafted? The answer is becoming clearer every day, and it's not pretty. This wasn't about football. This wasn't about character. This was about something else entirely. Something that should make every NFL fan question how their favorite team evaluates talent. But you know what? Maybe this is exactly how it was supposed to happen. Maybe Shedeur needed to go through this adversity to prove not just that he can play, but that he can handle anything the NFL throws at him. Maybe every team that passed on him just handed him the motivation he'll need to dominate at the next level. Bernard Watts believes Shedeur's time is coming, and honestly, how can you doubt it at this point? The talent is there, every analyst confirmed it. The character is there, every hospital visit proves it. The work ethic is there, every practice report confirms it. The only thing missing is the opportunity, and that's coming soon. When Shedeur finally gets that chance, when he finally steps on an NFL field as a starting quarterback, remember this moment. Remember the hospital visit that proved his critics wrong. Remember Greenberg's passionate defense that exposed the truth about his draft evaluation. Remember the young man who handled being overlooked with grace while still finding time to make sick children smile. Because when he's throwing touchdown passes and leading game-winning drives, when he's proving every single doubter wrong, we'll all look back on this period and realize we witnessed something special. We witnessed a young man's character being tested in the most public way possible, and we watched him pass that test with flying colors. The NFL may have overlooked Shedeur Sanders, but they can't ignore him forever. And when his time comes, and it's coming sooner than later, every team that passed on him is going to have to explain how they missed on someone whose character and talent were hiding in plain sight. So, here's my question for you. After seeing Shedeur visit sick children while his critics questioned his character, after hearing analysts confirm what we all knew about his talent, after watching him handle adversity with more grace than most veterans, how is this young man still not on an NFL roster? And more importantly, which team is going to be smart enough to give him his shot before someone else does? Because mark my words, when Shedeur Sanders finally gets his opportunity, the only question won't be whether he can play at the NFL level. The question will be how many teams are going to regret passing on a quarterback who had everything they were looking for, but they were too blind to see it. The character concerns? Completely fabricated. The talent questions? Already answered by every analyst who studied the tape. The only thing left is for someone to give him the chance he's earned. And when that happens, we'll all remember where this story really started, with a young man visiting a sick child because it was the right thing to do. That's the real Shedeur Sanders. That's the quarterback who's going to prove everyone wrong. And that's why this story is just getting started. If this video opened your eyes to who Shedeur Sanders really is, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what you think about teams passing on him. Subscribe if you want more real talk about what's really happening in the sports world, because I'm not afraid to call out the narratives that don't make sense. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when I drop these truth bombs, and I'll see you in the next video where we keep exposing what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know.